All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Ed Greer, Dean of the School of Business, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Fall 2018 Business Ceremony. This is all about you, so we're all proud of you, and you work really hard to get to this moment, but rarely does anyone achieve great success alone. So I have one small assignment for our students. So I want you to stand up and try to find those special groups of folks that supported you all the years. So students, stand up, look for your loved ones, give them a big round of applause, tell them that you love them like you really care. You can do better than that. Okay, now it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's speaker, Valerie Richardson Jackson. She was born and raised in Richmond, Virginia, and earned her undergraduate degree here at the VCU School of Business. It's okay, give her applause, it's all right early. These days, Valerie makes her home in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta is also my hometown. If you ever visited Atlanta, you probably flew into Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, named in part to honor the legacy of Valerie's late husband, Maynard Jackson. Maynard was the first African-American mayor of Atlanta. As Atlanta's first lady, Valerie served on a special assignment at the mayor's office for economic development, representing Atlanta around the globe. Her direct efforts helped bring the 1988 Democratic National Convention to Atlanta. 8 years later, when Atlanta hosted the 1996 Olympic Games, she co-chaired a foundation that purchased and distributed Olympic tickets to more than 20,000 financially challenged children. For the last 18 years, Valerie has hosted 2 award-winning radio programs on Atlanta's NPR station, WABE. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Valerie Richardson Jackson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Dean Greer, VCU faculty, family, and especially you graduates. I am extremely honored, and I really mean this, to be here this evening because as much as I hate to say it was 50 years ago, yes, that I was here in the very first inaugural class of Virginia Commonwealth University. Really proud of that. I knew that college was going to make a difference in my life, but I had no idea the impact that VCU would have on the direction of my life. As one of 8 children, being the first in my family to attend college, like many of you, working my way through VCU as a telephone operator at night and then going to classes all day definitely wasn't easy. But I was fortunate enough in my senior year to meet Dr. Peoples, Napoleon Peoples. He pushed me and persuaded me to apply to the Wharton School of Business. And I'll be very honest, I had no thoughts of going to grad school. As a matter of fact, I argued with him about it. He kept saying, you really need to do this, and I kept saying, I don't want to do this. I especially didn't want to have to take that graduate business exam. But he convinced me. I took the exam, and lo and behold, I got into Wharton. Had it not been for Napoleon Peoples, though, I never probably would have gone to Wharton. I never would have moved on to New York to work in advertising and marketing, which I loved. And I really would like, I think he's here, I really would like for Napoleon Peoples to stand up. Associate Dean, as a matter of fact, he just retired a couple of years ago. Associate Dean of Student Affairs, Napoleon Peoples. He had a lot more hair when I knew him, though. So I went to New York to Gray Advertising, and my account at Gray Advertising was Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix. I think a few of you may have heard about that, okay? As a matter of fact, I was in the group that created the commercial where Kool-Aid man burst through the wall, right? And to this day, of all the things I've done, the thing my daughter brags the most about is that Kool-Aid man. But that wasn't the only fun account. I worked on something called, how many of you have ever heard of Pop Rocks? Anybody ever heard of Pop? That was my baby, too. As a matter of fact, that's an interesting story because General Foods' goal was to develop a carbonated Kool-Aid mix that wouldn't come in bottles. You'd buy it, put your water in it, and then it would become carbonated. But he couldn't quite make that. It didn't quite work out that way. And by accident, he added some sugar to that Kool-Aid formula that he had been working on. And it started to make the Kool-Aid mix fizz and pop. Well, his kids noticed it, and they said, well, let me taste that. And he gave them some, and they loved it. So for many years, he just created this Pop Rocks for his own children until General Foods wised up and decided to market it. And hence, an example of success from failure. So you're going to hear about that again tonight. It was while I was at Gray Advertising that I met Maynard Jackson at a brunch at Roberta Flack's home in New York. Eventually, he made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. He asked me to come to Atlanta and to market it for the great sum of $1 a year and to become his first lady. The pay was awful, but the benefits were outstanding. I would meet with ministers of industry in various countries while representing Atlanta in economic development. It afforded me the opportunity to travel the world while we were bidding for the 1996 Olympics. And I met a host of dignitaries and fantastic athletes, becoming friends with many of them, including Muhammad Ali. Inadvertently, I found myself in broadcasting, and I've been fortunate enough to interview some fascinating people, including President Jimmy Carter, Maya Angelou, Alan Dershowitz, Wynton Marsalis, Hillary Clinton, and so many more that I can't possibly name. And so many times, Napoleon, I've said, thank God for Napoleon Peoples, because you really made that path possible for me. But my first exposure to politics and municipal authority, however, was at the age of 11, when my family was forced to move from our home off of Ford Avenue over in Churchill. The city of Richmond confiscated it through eminent domain. Unfortunately, my father barely received a quarter of what the property was worth. The lesson I learned early was that public policy dictates every aspect of our lives. Where we go to school, what side of the street we can park on, who can build a home, who must move out of a home for public reasons because they put public housing on the land that we used to own. So public policy is really the thing that guides our lives. That's why our vote is so crucial. Because in the body of politics, each of us is a cell. We're a cell, just like the cells in our body. Each cell in our body has a function. And if our cells aren't doing their job, we get sick. If we, as cells in the body of politics, does not do our job, the country suffers. So it's crucial that we vote. And more important than federal elections, I think, are local elections because they're closer to you. They're more directly involved with your lives. Each of us has a responsibility to fulfill our function as a cell in the body of politics. By the way, I want to just say how really proud I was and impressed with the turnout of young people at this midterm election. Thank you so much. I really appreciate young people really getting involved and knowing that this is important. Dr. Benjamin E. Mays, one of the greatest presidents of Morehouse College, often said, if you believe in something, you must act on it. If you don't act on it, it's not a belief. It's just an opinion. And we've got enough opinionated people around here already, haven't we? So some of us need to act on those opinions. And you know what? Don't waste time. Don't waste time shooting on yourself. I should have done this. I should do this. I shouldn't have done that. Don't waste that. Don't waste time on that. Behave persistently and be patient. Delay does not mean denial. If you haven't gotten that phone call yet or that job offer yet, that doesn't mean it's not coming. One quick story of overcoming challenge. When Maynard became mayor, there were plans on the previous mayor's desk to build a new terminal on the existing site. So when Maynard became mayor, he said, "So what's the status of the airport?" And his people said, "Oh, Mr. Mayor, we can't build the airport there because part of the land needed has a major highway running through it, Interstate 85. "Well," said Maynard, "move the highway." Now, I know some of his people thought, "Oh my God, being the first black mayor of Atlanta has really started to take its toll on this man. He wants us to move a highway?" Well, Maynard got on the phone, called the Secretary of Transportation in DC, called every mayor that was involved in the venue that would be affected, even called the U.S. Senator Herman Talmadge, who was his nemesis, whom he had challenged for the U.S. Senate seat in 1968. He charmed him, he flattered him into submission. And guess what? Maynard got that highway moved. And to this day, we have now the busiest airport in the world, Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Now, some people used to joke that Maynard could move mountains. Well, I don't know about mountains, but I know he can definitely move highways. Congratulations, students, and go out there and move some highways.
Thank you, Valerie, for those timely and inspirational remarks, and we'll try to move a few highways ourselves here.